Millionaire CEO in shock as black teen girl stands up to school bullies. Marcus Reynolds stood on the edge of the gala, the flashing cameras and glimmering chandeliers throwing shards of light off his polished shoes. His suit was sharp, crafted just this morning, navy blue, crisp lines, the kind that whispered power. Around him, the rich and famous laughed, clinked glasses, and traded fortune cookie wisdom wrapped in expensive wine. But inside Marcus, a tight knot twisted in his chest. The noise around him felt distant, like a bubble he couldn't pop. A few blocks away, the schoolyard was a war zone. Dust hung in the air like a thick fog, kicked up by fists and frightened feet. Marcus had just gotten the text, an urgent message blinking on his phone, pulling him out of the glitter and gold. Black teen girl named Aaliyah, standing up. Bullies won't back down. The words hit like a punch to his ribs. He rubbed the back of his neck, jaw set. Everyone at the gala talked about giving back, charity, change. But this was raw, real close. Aaliyah. Marcus had never heard her name before. But already, whispers floated through the room, snippets caught by eager ears. That girl, she's fearless. Black girl taking down those bullies? Can you believe it? Aaliyah's defiance is shaking everything. The tension beside Marcus thickened with every word he overheard. Faces turned away. Eyes darted. The polished world he lived in suddenly felt miles away, yet a thread connected them, tangled up in a single moment of courage no one expected. His hand trembled slightly as he sipped his sparkling water, the bubbles tickling his lips but failing to distract his mind. Should he call? Should he rush to the school? What if stepping forward meant stepping into chaos? His power had always been numbers, contracts, influence. But here, in this dusty fight, none of that mattered. A sudden murmur twisted into gasps. A sharp crash echoed from the gala's side room. People shuffled toward the noise, their smiles fading. Marcus's pulse hit thunderclaps in his throat. The struggle at the school and the chaos here seemed to bleed into one another, invisible but undeniable. His breath hitched. Could he let the night end like this? Could he stand still when a girl halfway across town was fighting battles nobody invited him to? The glint of his cufflink caught the light, cold and unyielding. So was his doubt. And just then, footsteps behind him were heavier. Voices shaded with something darker. Words he didn't want to hear. Secrets clawing out from the past, threatening everything he thought he knew about himself, about who he was now. Marcus's grip tightened on his glass. The choice slid sharp and terrifying. Walk away or risk it all. Aaliyah's fight was many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And while you're there, drop a powerful like. It really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, What city are you watching from? I love getting to know each incredible person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air felt electric, a knife-edge tension slicing through Marcus as he stood, anchored yet adrift. Aaliyah's fight burned in the distance, but the shadows behind him darkened, layers of false bravado peeling back. He could feel it, a shift, a palpable shift, heavy and suffocating. A sudden rattle broke the moment, a wine glass shattering against the marble floor, and the room fell silent. Every eye Marcus turned, heart racing. He saw a woman, her face pale, strikingly familiar. She was his mother, standing there as if she had emerged from a grave of unspoken history. "Marcus!" she cried, voice trembling. The mask of composure cracked, revealing a chasm of fear. "You need to leave. Now!" Gasps spread through the crowd, whispers igniting like wildfire. The weight of her presence felt like a burst dam. More than just shock, there was a terrible urgency in her eyes, an unseen world of danger lurking just beyond the glittering gala. What are you doing here?" he stammered, trying to push through the fog that had pooled around them. Memories crashed in, fragments of childhood dread, the chilly nights spent waiting up for her to come home, the secrets that had stained their family's name. "Things are worse than you think," she urged, stepping closer, her hands trembling. "Aaliyah is—" Just then, an explosion rocked the gala, a deafening crack that split the air like a lethal whip. The lights flickered, shadows clawing at the walls as panic exploded among the guests. Chaos erupted. People screamed, scrambled, and the panic surged like a tidal wave. "Mom, what do you know about Aaliyah?" Marcus shouted, pushing through the crowd toward her. He felt the grip of fear tighten around him as realization sank in. This wasn't just a reflection of a fight. This was a collision of two worlds, colliding with consequences he couldn't yet fathom. She looked away, fractured, the edges of her composure fraying. "You need to trust me. There's a reason she's fighting, a reason they won't back down." Before Marcus could interject, a group of men rushed in, dark suits, their eyes scanning, lethal intent behind them. And then it hit him, a crushing weight of betrayal, a truth whispered through family lore. His mother had been tied to a web of powerful influences long before he ever walked into the light of his own fortune. "Get out! I'll distract them," she shouted, urgency like a fire igniting in her. But even as she said it, a figure stepped forward, masked and hooded, emerging from the chaos with a calculated menace. "Marcus, come with us," the figure intoned, the voice familiar yet distorted. "You're part of this, whether you want to be or not." He felt a chill crawl up his spine, a cold, bitter truth coiling tight. Who was this person? Was this the conspiracy lurking within the corners of his life? Or a path to salvation? The rumors of his mother's past, the whispers of connections to shadows he had never wanted to uncover. They rushed in like a flood, drowning clarity. "Mom, what have you done?" he whispered, locking eyes with her as the world spun in a million directions around them. "Everything," she began, voice tight with unspoken guilt, "is about to change." And with those words, the room ignited once more, a convergence of secrets, fright, and undeniable fate, leaving Marcus at a precipice. One choice led into darkness. The other could mean salvation for them all. But how could he pick? Before him loomed a future shrouded in uncertainty, and he was plunged deeper, unaware of just how tightly the machinations around Aaliyah truly entangled him. The air crackled, tension building like a storm about to break. Marcus stood at the edge of chaos, the piercing echoes of panic swelling around him. Aaliyah's battle seemed worlds away, yet her fight throbbed inside him like a heartbeat, out of sync with everything he thought he knew. The shadows behind him loomed, questions unanswered, the lingering scent of fear wrapping tight around his chest. "Mom, what have you done?" he whispered again, urgency drowning him as the disguised figure stepped closer. With every inch, the world spun on its axis. "She's had her reasons," she shot back, voice thick with desperation. "But you need to understand." Before she could finish, the figure slipped forward, head tilted, voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. "You seriously don't want to know?" They scoffed, a finger pointing straight at Marcus. The face was obscured, but the menace was clear. An unseen weapon primed to strike. And then, as if the universe had decided to intervene, the glass chandelier overhead shattered, raining shards like fragile stars onto the crowd. Shrieks filled the room, bodies collided, the dance of fear transforming into stark survival. In the midst of the panic, the masked figure spun, narrowly avoiding an approaching wave of guests, and in that instant, their hood slipped, revealing half of a familiar face. "Daniel?" Marcus whispered, shock slamming into him like a freight train. His childhood friend, lost to time, now entrapped in this maelstrom. "What the hell?" Daniel barked, shifting his focus, eyes darting, searching through the chaos. "You have to trust me." "Trust you?" Marcus shouted over the cacophony, memories colliding with the chaos. A wisp of a dream, laughter shared in a backyard, then the bitter silence when Daniel vanished. After all these years? Why here? Why now? Everything spun inward, sharp and dangerous. As glass crunched beneath their feet, Daniel leaned closer, eyes fierce, hand gripping Marcus's arm. "Everything you know is wrong. Your mom, Aaliyah, she's in this too. It's bigger than we thought. There are players involved you can't even imagine." "What do you mean?" Marcus's heart raced, the room blurring. Just then his mother's voice cut through the chaos, raw and desperate. "Marcus, listen to him. You don't know everything." But Daniel was not done, urgency crackling in the air again. "You need to find Aaliyah. They're after her because..." "Because what?" The words came out like a bark, a wild urge slithering through his veins. "Because she's the key," Daniel spat, teeth gritted. "Your bloodline is tied to hers. She's not just another girl standing up to bullies. She's your sister. Silence crashed over them, heavy and thick. Marcus felt the ground cave, the truth a jagged shard he couldn't comprehend. Sister? Aaliyah? The girl's fight now pulsed, intertwining with the very fabric of his own existence. That's impossible, he gasped, but the storm of truths roared on. Daniel's eyes held a fire, one that spoke of hidden histories, dark roots, and familial ties, woven with secrets. It's true, Marcus, and they want to wipe her out before she can expose it all. We have to move now. As chaos raged, Marcus stood at the precipice of an irrevocable choice, one that could either be his undoing or a path to saving not just a girl, but his own legacy. What if I can't protect her? Daniel leaned closer, terror mixing with determination. Then it all ends tonight. You have to act, or it's game over for both of you. In that moment, the electricity surged, the room's walls closing in. Marcus felt the weight of destiny pressing down, every heartbeat singing a song of impending battle, a vital role waiting for him to seize. Behind him, his mother's fractured silhouette warned of somber truths yet to unfold. But ahead, a doorway opened, a path toward Aaliyah, a sister he never knew he had. Standing firm amid shadows darker than he ever imagined, he steeled his resolve, ready to plunge into the unknown, caught between the enemies of his past and the promise of family he never knew existed. What awaited him could change everything, but for better or worse. The air thrummed with dread, each heartbeat amplifying the panic swirling around Marcus as he steadied himself against the crashing waves of chaos. Daniel's revelation hung heavy, suffocating, laden with the weight of secrets that felt both unfathomable and inevitable. Aaliyah, his sister? Could this strange, fierce girl truly be tied to him? A moment of stillness enveloped them. Water pooled in the shadows of the shattering gala, turned battlefield. Marcus glanced toward his mother. Her face was a mask of anguish, filled with years of unsaid words and burdens too heavy to bear. Marcus, she urged again, a raw edge slipping into her voice. You need to... But before she could finish, the masked figure took a menacing step closer, accusing eyes glinting like dark glass. They leaned forward, voice dripping with contempt. This family was never what you thought it was. Secrets are a funny currency, and they always come due. What are you talking about? Marcus shot back, fists balled tight. Panic rippled among the crowd, their fear palpable, but his own was eclipsing. Marcus, she's right. Daniel's voice was low, urgent, as he scanned the room with wild eyes. What you don't know could destroy everything. Suddenly, from the thrumming chaos, a shout rang clear, a child's voice, innocent, yet layered with fright. Help! Someone help me! Instinct kicked. Marcus turned, heart racing. He pushed through the crowd as they parted in confusion, heading toward the sound. There, amidst the flurry of bodies, he spotted her, Aaliyah, cornered against a wall, eyes darting as two hulking figures moved closer. Get away from her! he shouted, with a surge of protective instinct, tearing through the throng. But just before he reached her, she lifted her chin, a fierce determination igniting in her gaze. "Stay back!" she yelled, like a spark lighting a match. The urgency in her tone sent a jolt through him. This was no ordinary fight. She wasn't just standing her ground. She was summoning a power that felt almost otherworldly. "Marcus, wait!" Daniel called, voice taut with fear. But it was too late. In that instant, everything exploded. A blinding light erupted from Aaliyah, white-hot energy surging outward. A shockwave of pure force that sent bodies tumbling, knocking over pillars of opulence like mere dominoes. Screams echoed, trapped in a sound vortex as the room spiraled into deeper chaos. Marcus stumbled back, hands shielding his eyes from the ferocity of it all. Aaliyah stood unyielding at the center of the surge, her expression sharpened with focus. Entire scenes of her life flashing in flickers behind her. Moments of isolation, suffering, relentless struggle, morphing into a blazing empowerment. As the dust settled and a stunned silence crept over the room, Aaliyah dropped her hands. The glint of mystic energy faded, revealing a strange calmness. Now the air felt heavy, almost thick with unspoken truth. Everyone in the gala froze, fear etched on their faces, many of them unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. What just happened?" Marcus whispered, astonished. Then he caught a glimpse of what he assumed was a rifle, hidden in the shadows. An agent brushing aside the scattered chaos, aiming right at Aaliyah. "No!" he shouted, instinct driving him forward as time stretched in slow motion. But before he could reach her, Daniel stepped in front, hand gesturing wildly, but suddenly Aaliyah collapsed to her knees, clutching her head, struggling against an unseen force. A wail escaped her lips, echoing heart-wrenching pain that ripped through the crowd. "Marcus!" his mother screamed, panic spilling over her normally composed facade. "She can't!" But Daniel wasn't finished. "Marcus, this is bigger than you know. You need to see." Before he could say another word, through the chaos encircling them, a shadow detached from the fringes, a figure creeping dangerously close. The air thickened again, crackling with tension as they stepped into the dim light. And it was then Marcus recognized the face, chilling his spine. "Hello, Marcus," the figure said, voice smooth, yet laced with malice. "I think it's time you learned about our family's true legacy and Aaliyah's reluctant role in it." With those words, the anchor of everything he thought he understood ripped loose, swirling into the relentless unknown, leaving Marcus hanging on the precipice of a revelation that would change everything again. The air, as the dim light flickered, it traced the familiar contours of a face he'd known too well. "I think it's time you learned about our family's true legacy and Aaliyah's reluctant role in it." The chaos around them faded, bells of reality tolling, voices muffled, breaths held. The tension hung like thick fog, stifling. Marcus's heart raced as he fully recognized the person before him. It was not just a phantom from his past. It was his estranged father, The man he'd never met, the specter looming over his childhood. "Father," he breathed, disbelief mingling with a rush of panic. Memories quivered, a cracked childhood smile, missed phone calls, scattered photographs of a man forged from shadow and whispers. "Why are you here?" His father smirked, a glint of triumph in his eyes. "Reunion, son. I've come to bring clarity. Aaliyah is not just your sister. She's a part of something larger, something you have been blind to." "Larger?" Aaliyah coughed, finally rising to her feet, defiance crackling behind her eyes, even as she trembled. "You think this is about you?" "It's about both of you," he snapped, voice echoing sharply in the fraught air. "You're part of a heritage tied to forces that control much more than you can fathom. I had to keep you apart to protect you both." "Protect us?" Marcus shouted, fury igniting as he advanced on this man who felt strange, yet terrifyingly familiar. "By abandoning us? By hiding? Protecting you from the truth?" He turned to Aaliyah, hand outstretched, a desperate plea lacing his tone. "You have a power that needs to be harnessed. We need to stand together." "What power?" she retorted, eyes narrowing, fear now laced with skepticism. "What are you talking about?" But Marcus's world crumbled on itself. He felt each element of his life spiral, upended, twisted, unreal. "Aaliyah, wait," he began, but the urgency slipped from him faster than he could grasp. Before the truth could sink in deeper, a sudden roar of malevolence swept through the room, a voice like thunder cracking open the sky. "You're all too slow to realize the game has already warped beyond your comprehension." From the far corner, another figure emerged, stepping into the fray with chilling confidence. It was a woman cloaked in shadows, her eyes flaring with the intensity of 1,000 burning suns. "You think you've been clever protecting them, Marcus? But family ties bind deeper than you've dared to discover." "Family ties?" His voice cracked, sudden realization flooding through him. The world around him seemed to melt away. It was as if he could see the strands of fate knitting and twisting, wrapping around each of them. "Yes," she purred, shadows melding around her, tugging at secrets he'd long buried. "Aaliyah carries the heritage of a lineage, one powerful enough to reshape destinies. And you, Marcus, are just the beginning of a greater unveiling. Your blood connects you to her and to me." "What?" Aaliyah gasped, horror mingling with disbelief. "You know something I don't?" The tension in the air pierced through each heart, an unfurling truth, like the delicate bloom of a treacherous flower. Marcus felt the ground shift beneath him, the weight of consequences pressing down like a collapsing star. Who were these people? What did they know that could shatter everything he thought he understood? As fear gripped him, the room seemed to tilt, the shadows swirling closer, enveloping every flicker of light, drawing them into a vortex of secrets and revelations. "Get ready," his father said, voice grim, "to discover the legacy you cannot escape." The night has only just begun, and with that the darkness loomed larger, threat and revelation entwined in a dance of chaos and revelation. The boundaries of their world stretched, and Marcus realized nothing would ever be the same again. The layers of his life peeled away, exposing the raw essence of betrayal, identity, and blood ties thicker than water, leading him down a path darker than he could ever have imagined. The darkness loomed larger, a suffocating shroud, wrapping tighter around Marcus and Aaliyah. Whispers buzzed through the crowd. Hearts raced. Instincts flared. He could feel the chaos spiraling, separating him from reality, each breath heavy with impending doom. Daniel stood vigilant, a wall of steadfastness against the overwhelming tide. Yet even he was lost for words, eyes darting between Marcus, their father, and the woman cloaked in shadows. "What do you want from us?" Aaliyah's voice rang out, fierce and unwavering, echoing courage against the convoluted B. "What is inevitable, however, is the truth that will bind you." Marcus stood rooted, panic threading through him. "Bind us? What kind of twisted game is this?" "Enough." Their father's voice sliced through the simmering tension, a taut string about to snap. "We are not here to mislead you. We are here to unveil a reality you must face, a history buried deep in blood." Aaliyah's determination flickered. "My blood is not a weapon." "Isn't it?" the shadowed woman challenged, dark amusement curling around her lips. "Didn't you just unleash a power that could fracture worlds?" "It's part of who you are, Aaliyah. It's part of your legacy." Before she could react, Marcus found himself caught in the whirlwind of emotions swirling around them. A raging storm of fear, betrayal, and the unfolding of something ancient, something catastrophic. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, a low rumble echoed through the building, a warning, a prologue to calamity. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging them into shadow. A cold breath washed over Marcus, chilling the air, twisting his stomach in knots. "What's happening?" he shouted, as fear took hold, pushing him to act. And then it struck. The shattering sound of glass burst like a gunshot, reverberating through the gala, cascading shards falling like glittering rain. From amidst the chaos emerged another, cloaked figure, this one wielding a weapon, fierce intent flashing in their eyes. "Get down!" Daniel's voice tore through the moment, urgency surging. But Marcus hesitated, locked in a moment of frozen horror, reality slipping as adrenaline pumped through his veins. The cloaked figure leveled their weapon at Aaliyah. "You should have stayed hidden, girl." "No!" Marcus instinctively lunged forward. But the shattered air erupted with a powerful flash, a blinding burst of light erupting around them. Time slowed. Gasps filled the space, panic rippling through the crowd as they crumbled. In that shattered moment, something miraculous and terrifying happened. Aaliyah lifted her arms, a radiant barrier flaring from her fingertips, swirling outwards as if she were a beacon against the force of darkness. The energy crackled, rebounding off the chaos. But just as it did, Marcus felt a tug deep inside, a link to an undeniable force. The air thickened, and then silence. The surge of energy fizzled out, revealing a stillness as the chaos flickered back into life. But what surprised them was the deep shadow that had loomed at the edge of the room, stepping forward with an aura of premonition. Marcus. A voice familiar and piercing reached him. It was his mother, pale and horrified. "I didn't want you to find out." "You didn't want me to find out what?" The words erupted from him, the weight of betrayal branding him. "What else is there?" "About your real father." Her voice trembled, a slow unraveling that echoed through the room. "Aaliyah isn't just your sister. Stop!" Aaliyah's voice split through the air, shaking with fear. "Don't say it!" But the words tumbled forth like a cascading wave. "Aaliyah is more than just your sister, Marcus. She's your twin." Marcus's heart seized, a disturbing realization crashing down. "What?" Breath escaped him, a chaotic rush of emotions, triggering old wounds and new terrors. The implications twisted like a dagger in his gut. Everything he thought he understood came crashing down as the depth of deception severed the last threads of normalcy. "Your father," his mother continued, eyes glistening with unwept tears. "He cloaked the truth to protect you from the dark realities of our lineage." Stunned silence cloaked the room like a thick fog, each participant trapped in the gravity of revelation. Aaliyah remained frozen. The familiarity of this new reality embedding itself deep within her, as if she were finally seeing through a veil she didn't know existed. Marcus felt the air fracture as weighty silence streaked across the space. The walls, adorned with golden trinkets of wealth and influence, now witnessed the true cost of their bloodline. An unending cycle of secrets, manipulation, and a lineage heavy with consequence. I don't understand," Aaliyah stammered, eyes wide, caught between realization and denial, as the threads of their newly revealed connection danced like a flame caught in the wind. Get ready." His father's smirk reappeared, taunting. "The truth is only just beginning to unfold." And with that, the implications of blood ties and destiny spiraled into a future laden with chaos, igniting questions that burned deep to the core. Would they survive the revelations of a family fractured by secrets? Or would they unravel entirely? The chorus of fate swung dangerously close, and Marcus would need to navigate it all. His sister was now at the center, and with that bond, danger danced ever closer. The air thickened, electric with unsaid truths, as Marcus wrestled with the revelations crashing around him. Aaliyah's eyes widened, absorbing the weight of their shared blood, his heart pounding against the walls of his chest. "We're twins?" she whispered, incredulity lacing her voice. But before silence could settle on the tumultuous revelation, the cacophony of chaos erupted anew, a body crashing against the marble floor. Someone in the crowd had fallen, eyes wide with. Marcus felt a tremor inside him, an instinctual push to move, to protect. "Run!" Daniel shouted, urgency slicing through as he tugged at Marcus's arm. But the ground beneath them felt like quicksand, pulling them toward their fate. "Wait!" Aaliyah's panicked cry shattered through the din, her gaze locking onto the cloaked figure who had revealed their father's disruptions. Marcus glanced back at her, just in time to see a glint of steel, the echo of weaponry surfacing amidst the chaos. "Why don't you tell them who else you've been lying to?" the woman in shadows hissed, a smirk splitting her features. "Isn't it time to reveal your true allegiance?" Aaliyah stiffened, something shifting in her demeanor. "What do you mean?" she demanded, a tremor threading through her voice. Suddenly a ripple of calm washed over the chaotic milieu. Time decelerated, faces twisted with confusion, breaths held, collective murmurs flared. The shadowy woman laughed, low and twisted, as the grip of reality warped and frayed. "Marcus, you were supposed to stay blind," she howled, veins pulsing with sheer insanity. "But now the truth will literally tear you apart." In a flash, the air erupted with an inferno of energy surging toward Aaliyah. The very light of the gala dimmed, and Marcus instinctively lunged. But the air crackled with insurmountable force. Time sunk beneath their feet, swirling in a vortex of burning agony. When the light receded, the crowd gasped. In its place stood Aaliyah, but she was different. Her features morphed and shifted, a pulsating glow radiating from her core. "No," Marcus stumbled, heart racing. "What's happening? Who are you?" Aaliyah's eyes stood fierce, yet cold, the fearlessness distinctly foreign. "I am not just who you think I am," she declared, her voice layered and booming. "I am the culmination of our family's legacy, the power you both fear and seek to control." "What?" Daniel's jaw slackened, horror dawning as he stumbled back. "Aaliyah, what are you saying?" "I've been bound, guarded, hidden, but now I'm free." She locked eyes with their father, an unfazed glare that sent shivers. "And you've kept me in the dark for too long." The shadowy woman grinned, an unequivocal triumph pulsing off her. "Yes, Aaliyah, embrace it. The time has come for you to claim your rightful position." The crowd erupted into panic, fear taking root, hesitation fading. Aaliyah stood center stage, imbued with energy transcending the natural. Her siblings trapped within a brutal reality redefined. The tapestry of their past tangled painfully with the present, every thread pulled taut, threatening to snap. "Answer me!" Marcus bellowed, desperation rasping against his throat. "Are you telling me you've been playing us?" "We're beyond playing," Aaliyah laughed, a sound both melodic and bone-chilling. "This is survival, and you're either with me or against me." Then with a flourish, she declared, "I was born to dismantle their reign, born of two worlds, destined to reclaim control, regardless of the cost." Cries of disbelief erupted as the shadows churned around her, light and darkness intertwining in a sinister ballet. The truth lay bare, shattering every illusion of family, trust unraveling before them like strands of silk pulled apart in a tempest. And then it hit Marcus like ice. His heart collapsed beneath sudden realization. "You're not just our sister. You're the weapon they've wanted all along." In that moment, the air quaked, a seismic shift cascading through their lives. Determined resolve morphed into swirling confusion, igniting the very foundation of their identities. As the shadows loomed, the night encompassed them, cloaking destinies intertwined. Aaliyah, now engulfed in enigmatic power, stood a harbinger of chaos. But as she turned her gaze to Marcus, a tug of connection sparked in the ether amid the whirlwind of betrayal. "Join me, Marcus. We have the chance to reshape everything," she hissed. "Your choice will define us all." With that, the reality of their world shifted, blades unsheathed, destinies unraveled, binding them to a treacherous fate, an exalted pact forged in discord and turmoil. And the haunting question echoed in Marcus's heart. Would he rise with his sister, or would he be the one to fall as darkness claimed everything he knew? The air pulsated with tension, crackling around Marcus as Aaliyah's power radiated with fierce defiance. "Join me, Marcus. We have the chance to reshape everything," she urged, her voice a dangerous melody that sent a shiver down his... "You're blind, Marcus," she interrupted, her tone dripping with disdain. "This family was never ordinary. Your very existence hinges on her power, on the lineage we've hidden away." "Stop lying," Marcus spat, every instinct screaming against the surreal revelation. But the overwhelming energy enveloped him, swirling like a tempest. Time faltered, reality stretching, and somewhere deep within, he sensed a crack in his very essence, a hidden truth yearning for daylight. Aaliyah's figure flickered, radiating with waves of fiery light. "This is what we are meant to be." "You don't understand," she shouted, the force of her voice clawing at him, trembling with a ferocity that was foreign yet familiar. "I have the chance to wield this power, to overthrow the darkness." But as her words settled, a sharp gasp pierced the fray, rattling through the air. It roared louder than hate, spiraled faster than the shadows closing from every corner. It was their mother, her voice a tortured whisper, spilling fragile dread. "You're wrong, Aaliyah. You don't know who you truly are." The chaos stuttered into silence like a snapped wire, shifting as every pair of eyes locked onto her. "What?" Aaliyah's glare hardened, defiance momentarily overshadowed by the flickering flame of confusion. "What are you talking about?" "Enough!" their father bellowed, fists clenched, the security of his stature faltering. "This is not the time for your delusions." But the fire remained. It hardened in their mother's eyes. "The truth is dark, Aaliyah. Darker than you can conceive." Her words limped forward, each syllable weighted with forbidden knowledge. "You are not just a weapon. You are meant to replace what was lost." Marcus felt the ground drop beneath him, swallowing the certainty he clung to. "What do you mean?" The voice came from his lips, but it felt disconnected, distant. "What was lost?" In an instant, their mother's expression shifted. Something cracked within her resolve. "Your father had another child, another twin, one before you, and her blood is tied back to a darker legacy. The very legacy we all fear." Aaliyah staggered, the light around her dimming, realization ghosting across her face like a cold touch. "Another twin?" Her voice quaked, fear creeping in where confidence had blazed. How? Who, before the center of chaos, could pull it apart? The cloaked figure smirked, eyes glinting. Look among you. Your true heir has been waiting, bound and hidden. And just like that, the shadows shifted, rearranged themselves, teeming with whispers and shouts as the crowd recoiled. The reality morphed. Fear stagnated in the air as they turned, dread illuminating faces like ghostly torches in darkness. Then, as if the world had fractured, a scream pierced through, a child's wail emerging from an unseen corner of the hall, reverberating like a death knell. "Help! Please help me!" The cry echoed, heavy with despair, slicing through the tension, an uninvited echo that changed everything. "Marcus!" Aaliyah clawed for understanding, eyes wide, darting to their mother. "What have you hidden from us?" A figure emerged from the shadows, small and trembling, stepping into light and revealing a frail girl whose features mirrored Aaliyah's, eyes wide, terror-stricken, bathed in the unmistakable glow of shared blood. "Help me," the girl sobbed, collapsing into Marcus's arms, drenching him in an overwhelming truth that struck as hard as a thunderclap. "I'm your sister too." And in that instant, his reality shattered once again, cascading through depthless darkness as the path ahead twisted and turned, revealing deeper ties than anyone believed possible. The air hung thick with raw tension, a weight that felt like a lightning storm teetering on the brink of chaos. Marcus clutched the frail girl in his arms, the desperate wails tearing through him like shards of glass. "I'm your sister too." Her terrified eyes mirrored Aaliyah's, and in that moment, everything he knew spiraled into a void. Aaliyah's expression shifted to horror, the fierce determination. How? She reached out a hand but didn't seem to know whom to comfort, her voice trembling with disbelief and fear. Daniel, eyes wide with shock, took a shaky step forward. "We need to get out of here," he urged, casting nervous glances toward the looming shadows. But the crowd's panic washed around them like a tidal wave, uncertainty thrumming thick in the air. "Help me." The girl's breath raced against Marcus's chest, desperation palpable. He felt her tiny frame tremble, her skin chilled. What was happening? Who was she? Questions spiraled, threatening to consume him. Then, with a sudden thud, the lights flickered violently and then plunged the grand hall into a dim, swirling haze. The panic deepened as murmurs rose, imbuing the atmosphere with a sense of dread. People frantically stumbled, seeking safety, their silhouettes painted against the darkness. A low rumble reverberated beneath their feet, a prelude to something catastrophic. Out of the darkness, the shadowy woman laughed, a sound that clawed at his sanity. "How fitting," she taunted, her voice slicing through the chaos. "You've been playing right into our hands." Marcus felt a surge of rage igniting his veins. "What do you mean?" he snapped, his heart racing. But the woman only smiled, and within that curve of her lips, he glimpsed a dark satisfaction. "Did you really think you were the only one with family secrets?" she drawled, gaze flicking over Marcus and Aaliyah with a predatory gleam. Your lives are woven into a tapestry far darker than either of you could fathom. From behind her emerged a figure cloaked in swirling shadows, the air around them suffocating. This new presence radiated authority, and the crowd shrank back, reality twisting and collapsing like a house of cards. "Enough of this charade," the new figure demanded, voice a growl reminiscent of thunder. As he stepped into a sliver of light, shock rippled through Marcus. He recognized the chiseled features, the familiar intensity of his eyes. "I am the one you both seek to understand." "Who are you?" Marcus whispered, fear prickling at the back of his mind, heart racing to the point of pain. With a sinister smile, the man revealed himself fully. His father, but this time his face bore a sinister twist, contours carved from darkness. "I am your true father." Aaliyah staggered, and the girl in Marcus's arms gasped, tugging free, confusion shimmering in her wide eyes. "What does that mean?" But before an answer could form, the air split open in a surge of light. Cascading streaks of energy, swallowing the room whole. Screams erupted as the very foundations of the gala trembled, the walls twisting as though they were alive, a pulse echoing with their horror. And in the heart of the explosion was Aaliyah, energy crackling at her fingertips, forming tendrils of light that wrapped around the crowd. "Stop! I can!" she boomed, but her words were drowned by the chaos. As the light enveloped everyone, Marcus felt his own essence being pulled apart. "Aaliyah, no!" he shouted, the voice barely breaking through the discord. "You have to fight it!" Suddenly, flashbacks surged through him, pieces of a life he'd never known invading his senses, strange rooms filled with shadows, faces peering at him from behind veils of smoke. And then it dawned upon him, a chilling realization coiling in his gut. His mother lurked within that vision, whispering fragmented secrets he'd never grasped. "You are not the only ones with hidden legacies." The chaos halted, a single breath of silence, rebuilding amidst the ruins. Yet in that pause, an untamed force swelled, and revelation burst forth like a supernova. The truth echoed with clarity. Aaliyah was not merely a sister. All along, she had been the key to something even darker, a harbinger of power meant to wield consequences far beyond their understanding. "Marcus!" Aaliyah cried. But just then, the ragged silhouette of a figure erupted from within the blast. A creature formed of shadows that entwined around Marcus's very being. "Welcome home," it hissed, voice twisted and cruel, revealing a layer to the family history that shattered everything he thought he knew. And in that moment, realization hit harder than any blow. There was a darkness within him, now awakened, something they had sought to contain, suffocating in the light. And as darkness pulled tighter, all Marcus could cling to was the truth of what had been unleashed, spiraling further into unresolved chaos. Would he have the strength to confront the unfolding legacy? Or would he be consumed by the shadows that claimed them all? The room held its breath, shadows swirling with. Aaliyah radiated power, but the darkness around them felt alive, hungry. "Everyone, get down!" he shouted, urgency tearing through him. But the shadows pressed, pulling at their very essence. "Marcus," Aaliyah's voice rang clear but strained, "we need to face it together." "I'm not leaving you." He took a step forward, confronting their twisted father, the creature lurking behind him. The familiar face was too twisted to be trusted. "You're not in control anymore. We don't have to be part of this darkness." The laughter from the shadowy woman cut through the air. "All that power, and you think you can resist? You'd only make things worse." "No!" Aaliyah screamed, the light around her flaring brighter. "I refuse to let the shadows win." With a fierce thrust of energy, she directed the light towards Marcus, creating a barrier that pulsed with warmth between them and the encroaching darkness. "Together," Marcus yelled, reaching out. He felt the connection spark between them, a tether of familial strength that ignited his own hidden power. "Let's end this!" With a collective yell, they channeled their energy, light and shadows clashing in a breathtaking explosion. The darkness roared, twisting and writhing as the radiant energy poured out, cutting through the lies and horrors of their past. With a final surge, the shadows collapsed, shrieking, before evaporating into the ether. The gala hall trembled, the walls shaking as the last remnants of evil dissipated like smoke in the breeze. Silence fell, heavy, yet empowering. Slowly, Aaliyah lowered her hands. "Did we do it?" she whispered, searching his eyes. "Yeah," he replied, breathless. They stood together, the grasp of darkness broken, their bond stronger than before. Their mother came forward, eyes sparkling with tears of relief. "I'm so proud of you both," she said, voice trembling. "You faced this together." "Why didn't you tell us the truth?" Aaliyah asked, her voice softer now. I was trying to protect you," their mother sighed. "But the truth needed to be faced. You both showed me that love can conquer even the deepest fears." Marcus felt a flicker of hope, igniting a warmth in him. They were free, unburdened from the past and its weight. "Let's move forward," he said, turning to Aaliyah and their mother. Together, as they embraced, a new dawn broke through the shattered remnants of their lives. Outside, the sun's first light spilled in, dawning a fresh start, their past overshadowed but not forgotten. A chapter closing but never truly ending. But just as the warmth of sunlight wrapped around them, a small voice broke the moment. "Will we always be safe now?" the little girl whispered, fear still lingering in her expressive eyes. Aaliyah knelt to her, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. "As long as we're together, we'll always be safe." Yet even as she spoke, a shadow flashed in the corner of Marcus's vision, a form lurking just out of reach, suggesting that darkness never fully fades. As they walked toward the bright light ahead, an indistinct figure watched from afar, fading into the twilight, holding secrets yet to be unearthed. Marcus inhaled deeply, knowing the battle was over, but sensing a lingering thread still uncut, especially at home. You must subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories that unfold from this wild journey. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the momentum going. Flood the comments with your thoughts and theories about what happens next. And share this video right now with 5 friends who need to know how this ends. Don't wait another second to support your favorite content. True fans like you make all the difference.